I've known about the Hot Creek area for a long time. I never had a chance to float the river. Up until 2006, you could, but there in the enhanced geothermal activity with geysers coming up in the river and everything like that meant that it was no longer safe. And so I know that now there's fencing along a good portion of this area, but it's still super beautiful. Something that there's a caldera boundary all around the Mammoth Lakes area. In fact, there's an active geothermal plant on the way to Mammoth Lakes from 395. And so this is kind of a really cool area. Just beyond the airport up into the north, there's the Resurgent Dome. It's a volcanic area and a lot of really cool things. There are the Inyo craters. They're just north of Mammoth Lakes itself. The Hot Creek area is about 15 miles to the east and southeast from Mammoth Lakes itself. It's worth the drive. It's one of the most beautiful areas in California. I had a chance to visit it a couple times on this trip, just briefly in the evening and then briefly early in the morning because I was going other places. The challenge is that you have to be out by sunset, and so I made one last visit, and a lot of the photos I'm going to show you were actually shot more in the middle of the day than I wanted. Again, I was shooting in HDR, so the colors really snap. Enjoy it. I ultimately made this drive-by kind of late morning. The light was still pretty good, and then I headed down 395 towards Death Valley, and I'll have some of those photos. That's a drive that I've never gotten a chance to make. I've always come up to Death Valley from the Barstow area on I-15. So this was kind of the first time I ever got to actually drive across the Panamint Mountains. The Panamint Mountains are the range west of Death Valley, and it's kind of a spectacular drive. I'm going to cover the actual Death Valley details in another video. I just want to say that even though it was still the middle of May, Death Valley was way hotter than it was supposed to be, and I was planning to stay at a high elevation campground, the Wild Rose Campground. It was still too hot, so I decided to beat it on over to Beatty, Nevada, in Motel 6. It was still about 103 degrees at 8 p.m. at night, so way too hot for camping for me. I decided to park the Hot Creek area and drive down 395. I make a compulsory stop at the Lone Pine Airport just because I've flown in there so much. But then I'm back on the road for the drive to Death Valley. My plan is to take Highway 190, and this is a bucket list item for me. I've always seen the road as I've flown from Lone Pine over to Stovepipe Wells or to Furnace Creek Airport. And I just admired that windy, steep road up over the Panamint Mountains. So I'm really looking forward to this portion of the trip. I stop at a visitor center by the side of the road, and that's kind of where I'm going to leave this video. I'll pick it up with the actual drive across the Panamint Mountains in the next video. Well, guys, good morning to you, or good afternoon, or good evening. We've reached a turnoff here. That's 395 off in the distance. If you continue on up that way, just a couple miles, you'll hit Lone Pine. Los Angeles is 200 or so miles down the other way on 395. This is a bucket list trip for me. This is kind of an imposing mountain range called the Panamint Mountains. And we're going to actually head out across the Panamint Mountains to Death Valley. And ultimate destination tonight will be Beatty, Nevada. And that's a visitor center. A bunch of students in that Pacific Coachways. I haven't had a chance to find out where they're headed. But off in the distance, the fantastic High Sierras. Of course, you know, the portal to Mount Whitney is here, the Alabama Hills, those famous hills right there where a lot of the westerns have been shot. Quite a historic area. This video is dedicated to my nephew, Chris. One of my dreams when I was a young man was to be able to hop on my motorcycle, I didn't own it yet. I had most smaller motorcycles, but I wanted to get something a little bit bigger. My whole dream was just to take a bedroll, a sleeping pad, and head up from the area around Ridgecrest, Inyokern, up to Lake Tahoe following 395. I never got to do that. Later in life, I got back, obviously, with my pickup truck. But thinking of you, there's not a day that goes by that I don't pray for you and that you're on my heart and my mind.